Welcome. This is another episode of BasketBros. We are back after I think we were about 2 weeks. It was for the holiday season, but I hope you got your good helping of ham and turkey and stuffing and everything, and got some nice gifts. Maybe went out and partied a little bit for New Year's. But we are back, and man, it will be a new season of this. I'm Denzel Snipes, and just stick with us for an hour, maybe less or whatever, and we'll get you right to Detroit and Green Bay. It's been a crazy day. First and foremost, want to say I know it's not basketball related, but to Damar Hamlin and family, it's been reported that he's making strides now. That he's doing a lot better. He actually FaceTimed his teammates about a day or so ago. He's doing great. So absolutely thoughts are with him. Here's to a speedy recovery. And now let's get the guys in here. We've got Jacob Christner, and we've also got Vogel. How's it going, fellas?
Not bad. And I'll put it to you this way. I can say this. It is definitely a blessing at Damar Hamlin, what happened with him, and he's getting better. And we absolutely say this part. If it wasn't for him being a top quality athlete, I mean, it kills most people. You know what I mean? What happened with him. So he was a top-notch athlete, and that's the blessing on that.
And how about that route Buffalo put on today?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yes. I know they only won by 12, but the team looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
They did. The opening kick touchdown that just set the place off, man, that was great.
He had two of those.
That was awesome.
He had two kickoff returns in one game.
He did. I saw the first one. The second one, did I turn away from it? I think I turned away from it for a little bit, so I missed the second one, but I definitely saw the first
Colts got a steal in Naheem.
I'm
sorry.
The Bills. Naheem was a Colt, though. You're on the right track. Let's see here.
The Hawks just won.
Yeah, they did. They won on the field goal. All right, so let's see here. If you are a first-time viewer of BasketBros, that's great. So go ahead and leave a like for this episode, but more importantly, hit the subscribe button for Sideline Sports. We got a plethora of shows, not just BasketBros. It's the Gauntlet, it's Confidential, Pundits Punted Views. Let's see, the Sports Arena, Sideline Sports Show, Three Chicks in a Pod, Ball Don't Lie. Yeah, Cold Hard Truth. We got a whole lot, that could fill up your whole week full of sports material. As Jake Malik would say, we are the people's ESPN. So with that being said, definitely subscribe to Sideline Sports. We've got a lot of great material. I think the personalities are better. We're a lot more laid back, or a lot more real.
And you have cooler T-shirts.
Yeah, and you get to see my Mega Man T-shirt. May not be every week, but I can bring it out, every now and again and stuff. So most definitely subscribe to Sideline Sports. And well, with that being said, let's go ahead and go to our first topic, and that is our first BasketBros moment in time. T-Max 13 points in 33 seconds. So on 9 December 2004, so just over, what's this, 2023? So just over 21 years ago, in the final 33 seconds, McGrady scored 13 points in a 33-second span. He had 4 3-pointers, and then he made a free throw and a steal. I mean, he literally in that last minute, he was the Rockets. It was just amazing. It looked like an all but sure Spurs victory, and then Tracy McGrady just it was like the man couldn't miss. And it was like one of those things where it's wow, this dude single-handedly just got us back into the ball game. And it's okay, is he gonna miss this last shot? And then it's gonna be one of those close losses, and then just boom, he sinks it, and then the Spurs miss a Hail Mary, and then it's over with. And literally, if you left to go get a plate of dinner and the Rockets were down, and you were oh man, it's a wrap, let me go heat up this food or whatever. You come back, the Rockets won the game, and you're wondering what happened. So definitely his He-Man moment of his career, and one of the better He-Man moments ever that hardly gets talked about. I want to swing it over to Jacob. Your thoughts on this moment?
You think about this, and I for instance, back in the time when I used to watch, for instance, he had that bored look in his eyes. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He'd have that bored look in his eyes, And it was like you just wondered, did he care about the game? You knew he was skilled. You knew he was skilled. You knew. How do you like that drink, by the way?
I had cottonmouth just now. Keep going.
Oh, but you think he's skilled. I'm just saying, he's skilled. It's all that kind of stuff. But he looks so darn bored. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He looks, and then all of a sudden you see something like that. There's a fire. It's like he's gonna go after it, and he's gonna go win the game. And it gets the Spurs, mind you.
Yeah.
Spurs. Those were the Spurs teams. Remember, you said 21 years ago. Those are the Spurs teams that were powerhouses.
Yes,
and
this was the Spurs dynasty.
Yeah, and he ended up doing something like that. And then makes you wonder what would have happened if you had Michael Jordan's mindset, the sociopathic mindset, just because he did skills. But one of the big deals is, now remind me of this. It was 21 years ago. This was a playoff game or a regular season game?
Regular season.
You have to wonder something along those lines. What would have happened if he, like I said, whole sociopathic deal? What would have happened if he becomes Jordan? And he could have done that and won some rings. How much? Now, mind you, he has an all-time great. He is an all-time great, but he's not in the conversation quite a bit. He's not. So you have to wonder if he would have done that just once in the playoffs. Does he have a better reputation?
Yeah, that's true.
And I like the guy. Don't get me wrong. It was just you just know the skills he has, like what might have been.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is a what if, with Tracy McGrady, who Kobe Bryant himself said in an interview was like the most difficult to go against. Right. A lot of people don't allude to his defense. Like T-Mac. T-Mac was, and to think that the man was drafted, he played alongside Vince Carter at one point. So what might have been with that had he had stayed there and not went to the Magic? But I want to swing it over to Will. Will, what are your thoughts about this BasketBros moment in time?
Man, it's Jordan-esque. It's Jordan-esque. You go crazy. You go insane. It makes you think, like, who of today's era would be able to do this? One comes to mind in my eyes, Stephen Curry.
Right.
Because of the three-point range, the way he dribbles the ball, how he gets his shot off fast. But yeah, like the sad thing is T-Mac was a great player, but then later injuries came up and those happened, derailed his career. Could have had a longer career. He had a lot of bad knee injuries. But I loved T-Mac growing up. I loved him, Vince Carter, Kobe. He was definitely one of my favorite shooting guards. And it was, like we said, it was against one of those really good Spurs teams. And they had Tim Duncan, they had Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and they had Bruce Bowen, who was guarding him, who was an elite defender. And
Bruce Bowen, a dirty player too.
And a dirty player, yes. And the crazy thing is, like, T-Mac averaged 25.7 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 5.7 assists that year. And the sad thing is that Rockets team was really, no offense, I know you're a Rockets fan, was like mix of old and young. You had an older Dikembe who should have been retired.
Yep.
Stayed way past his welcome in the NBA.
Ming was there. Yep.
You had Yao Ming, who every other year is another injury. Also, you had other role players on that team. And it's sad because that team would go to the playoffs, but they always ran into those good teams like the Spurs, the Mavericks, the Lakers. And whenever I do think of T-Mac, sure, I think of him in Orlando. Sure, I think of him as a Raptor. But I always think of him for this exact moment. In this moment, I don't care what you say. I know he's probably a top 200 player of all time, top maybe 150. Maybe generous, but still, it's up there in my eyes. This may sound debatable with the Jordan flu game, the 81-point game with Kobe, the 100-point game with Will Chamberlain. Yeah, it's not as great as those, but it's on that list in my eyes.
Well, yeah, especially in the comeback effort. Oh, go ahead, man.
You brought up Yao Ming. And I was thinking about this. It's like back in Yao Ming's day, he was considered really athletic for 7'6".
Yeah.
He was considered absolutely athletic. And just because he could actually, unlike like the Manute Bol, unlike Chuck Nevitt, you know, where he could actually make moves and shoot about 15 feet, he could do all that. Now he'd literally be a statue in comparison. You see these 7'6" guys that are able to drive the lane now. You're able to see the 7'3" guy shooting 3-pointers. It's such a different game, such a spread.
Imagine if Yao had a jump shot these days.
Well,
he had a jump shot back then. That's the thing. The NBA was totally different because he came from. You got to keep in mind, the NBA game right now was always how they played overseas in Asia and in Europe. It was positionless essentially. Yao Ming had a ice cold outside shot. So Ming actually would have fared more in this era than back then, when he came in.
He'd need athleticism, more athleticism. You got to remember, he could do turnaround.
Yes,
turnaround that he could do. He had good movement with his feet, but he wasn't speedy. He wasn't the 7'6" guys that can drive the lane now. He wasn't. He's at Bol, who's 7'2", can go all the way up the court. He's not those type of guys. He wasn't that kind of athleticism. He was just a shooter. He'd fare well there, but he'd have to have more athleticism. He had foot problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, when he was healthy, he absolutely was a force. You know what I mean? I remember one of my close friends of mine. We were on my first deployment, and he was saying, you know, it's a shame because what was it? He's so tall. He's like 7'5" or whatever, and Kobe's dunking on him with ease. And I was like, well, to be fair, Kobe dunked on everybody. That's kind of like saying, man, that's a shame you let Peyton Manning shred your defense. He shred every defense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it's not like some dude off the bench came and dunked on him. It was Kobe Bryant. you know
what? You know what I always loved? His battles in the paint was Shaq.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember how many years ago. I think it was when Yao got inducted to the Hall. Didn't Yao get inducted?
Yes, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Sure did.
So when Yao got inducted, they had a sit-down interview with him and Shaq, and they have nothing but love and respect for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the things with a Yao Ming. It's like, you ever remember, you talk about the reason it was because he blocked a lot of Shaq's shots. And everybody talks about, he got dunked on by Kobe. You got to remember, it's not just height with a blocked shot. That's when you're like 5th and 6th grade. It's height, but when people don't jump anymore. But it's all timing after that. Mm-hmm. That's what made Mark Eaton so good.
Yes.
That's what made him. It's like
that's what made Dikembe so good. What made Hakeem.
It was so timing. I mean, because Dikembe got dunked on sometimes, but then he was one of the all-time leading shot blockers.
Yes, absolutely. But back to T-Mac though. This moment, and I mean, it was a regular season game and whatnot, but still an amazing feat nonetheless, and one of the rare choke jobs by the San Antonio Spurs. I always said that during that whole Spurs dynasty, the one thorn in their side was the Rockets.
Oh yeah.
Well, you have to think how many laps they had to do for Popovich after.
They're running laps.
Because
they're running laps.
That's the old school.
Yeah. Totally agreed. Let's go ahead and go on to our next topic, and that is a brief talk about LeBron James's true legacy. Now, Jake, this is your topic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you start off. Go ahead.
The reason I brought this topic up was because we had a thought process. We know he's about to take the all-time scorer. He's going past 38,387. We already know that. He's 472 away. He's going to pass it. It's over. That part's done. So, but there's things that you think about. He's 38 years old and still playing these minutes a night. He's still healthy. I don't think he's ever had a blown knee. He hasn't had a blown knee. He hasn't had a blown hamstring. Yes. Mind you, I think he flops around too much like a fish, but he still plays. And to me, in one case, there is a not, that the more that he doesn't get to finals and the more he doesn't win, especially with the teams he chooses, because he's choosing these teams. Right. The more of that, the more he is not going to be put, other than the people of this era right now, he won't be put in the same conversation with a Michael Jordan, because the whole point is the 6 rings. And everybody says the 6-0 in the finals. But people are going to be saying these type of things. They're going to be saying these deals. The fact that Michael Jordan, at the same time, Michael Jordan had, you could say that he had those 2 years in Washington, but he never had a bad thing with the Bulls. So people will say that. At the same time, there's one thing LeBron has brought in forever: fitness.
Yes.
Fitness. A 38-year-old man still doing like 36 minutes a night, still scoring ridiculous numbers. You ever remember? Look at the ages of like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's scoring 10 points a game in his 20th year.
Yeah.
He was scoring 10 points a game in his 20th year. Moses Malone in his 21st year was 2 points a game. And he had horrible knees. And looking now at a guy who's 38 years old and he's still hopping out of the sky. He's hopping out. Yeah. One of the things is we're going to see this from more people. As we're not going to see Zion. Truth, if Zion Williamson does survive this, I bring this up about health because he's got terrible and he gets overweight at times when he does get injured.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. If he gets this type of thing, he's going to learn something from watching that guy. There's going to be more 16 to 18 people than there were. We will not have the Jordans who took 2 retirements. That's knees were bad and Bird's back. We won't have more of it.
Does someone have sewing in the background? I can't hear anything.
You said, say again?
Do you guys hear sewing in the background?
Who in the background?
I thought I heard something. Never mind. Continue.
Okay, never mind. All right, go ahead, Jacob.
It's like I said, we lost on average Bird, Magic, and Michael in 13 years.
Yeah.
And on 13 years, and it's like we won't see that anymore. What is it now? About 14 for KD?
Year 14? Yeah, I think so.
For KD. Harden's getting up there. Harden's getting up there with his.
Curry's up there almost.
More of these. It's like way different type of fitness level, and it makes you wonder what our great might be even better they would have been with the fitness we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've heard me allude to, and I mean, you can say the same thing with Tom Brady. I mean, he's 45, going on 46 years old, but his fitness is immaculate. That's why he feels like he can go out there and still play. You look at LeBron James, and LeBron James critics will, because he's like 460 points away. It's projected that he's going to catch Kareem Abdul-Jabbar by February 11th. LeBron, when he reaches that record, a lot of detractors are going to say, well, it's a longevity record. He played 20 years. But they won't have that same energy for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who played the same amount of time.
And his final year was 10 points a game, like we said. It's like we give Kareem all the credit for staying the greatest fitness. It's like that was the whole point about the fitness, is we wonder, with all these people that got injured, how come Kareem didn't get into the thing with teaching them fitness, because how long he stayed and how long he lasted. But LeBron could easily do that. We're going to see much longer people. We could see, I mean, here's the thing. Devin Booker, look how easily he moves. Look how easily he flows out there. There are a lot of players that flow so easily. Right. As far as on the court, they don't run like an ox. They don't beat themselves up. They move so easily. Those are the types that could last a while.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. And remember young Derrick Rose, I've heard some critics say he moved too fast for his own good. That's how he tore his ACL.
Oh, and it was like lightning. I was like, Derrick Rose was Justin Fields of the day.
Yes.
He was. And he was Justin Fields of the day. And people wonder, I'll say that about Justin Fields. They wonder, I'm saying something good. No, I've always said something good about Justin Fields. I don't like this fans. But Justin Fields is an absolute amazing. He's an amazing athlete. And Derrick Rose was like that. And why I'm mad at the fans is because I don't want this to happen to Justin. And then you saw what Nathan Peterman looks like today.
Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
You saw what Nathan Peterman looked like, and the dude behind him. And it's nuts because with Justin Fields very quietly became the third quarterback in history to rush for 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Which should come to the shock of nobody because he was averaging like 160 a game for the last how long? You know? How many games he had where he ran for more yards than he threw? We saw this coming,
Just about every game.
Oh, yeah. But I want to swing it over to Will. What are your thoughts about LeBron James' true legacy? How do you feel he'll be remembered most? Will it be for his fitness, for what he did on the court? Maybe it's his philanthropy. What do you think he's going to be most remembered for?
He's going to be remembered for a lot. The good and the bad. The pretty and the ugly. The good, he's experienced the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. He was drafted by his hometown team. That's every kid's dream. Almost every kid's dream that I know of. To be drafted by your hometown team is awesome. LeBron was lucky that Cleveland had the first pick. He's also won multiple MVPs. He was a multiple-time All-Star. He won championships. The lowest of lows, losing those championships, especially in his third year, which he didn't really have help. It was really hard. It was a growing experience for him, for sure. You were playing a dynasty in the Spurs. Then you go to Miami. You're like, not one, not two, not three, whatever. We all know the famous speech.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't execute on that. And then people are like, dude, you made it to the finals. How many times? Like 4, and you only won 2? You only won 2 out of 4, and you promised us multiple. You only got just 2. Yeah. And then he goes back to Cleveland, I guess, redeems himself. Yes, gets Cleveland. That must need a championship. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to the Sunshine State. I want to give them a championship. Yes, you won a championship there, but you've had the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. Great scorer, great player, great overall athlete. Guy's a freak of a human. 38 years old in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal shape. But also, he is just every situation he's been in has had the ups and downs. Like in Cleveland, his very beginning, he didn't really have help. He loved playing there. Goes to Miami, wins 2 championships, plays with his 2 best friends, but also bad, loses 2 finals. Goes back to Cleveland, brings them back a title, makes his hometown happy. Leaves Cleveland, which hurts Cleveland, not as much as the first time, but still hurts him. Goes to LA, wins the championship. He's still there. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think he's going to win another championship for his career. I just think his what I would call his true legacy is a roller coaster. It has ups and downs, twists and turns. But he will be known as one of the best players of all time. Do I think he's better than Jordan? No. People have different opinions, but he will be remembered as one of the hardest workers in the NBA.
Are we?
Jagan?
Are we at a hub? Like background?
I don't know. Hey, you're coming in and out, Jacob. I don't know if you gotta like speak closer or something, but
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. I'm just saying though, like I said, it's like it sounds like a pub on your side, as I don't know what happened, but
I don't know. It's probably my sister. But go ahead.
If there's something with LeBron that I can say this. It's like I think the things that irritated me the most with him, the 2 things. It's the guy has the most naturally skilled person, one of the naturally skilled people we've ever seen, and he's also a giant. He's a giant human being.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I would see, just because we grew up watching killers on the court, and it's like we saw that 2016 when he came back from 3-1.
Yeah.
See, we saw that. And we saw that he has that killer in him. That was all him. That was 41, 11, and 8. And that was killer. That was truly what we expect to see all the time. But then also a giant human being, and he would bump for JJ Barea. Bump for JJ Barea, and it's like that's not being quote unquote smart. It's like if you're a body, then you're scowling all the time. You're not, but you run away from fights.
Mm-hmm.
You run away from fights. What was that? Isaiah Stewart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also runs his mouth too much.
Well, everything has to be set. There's phoniness to him. You're right. But there feels like a phoniness to him. Like when you see a book, it's always on the first page. There's like 4 or 5 different things. He's on the first or second page every time. Like he has to show off something for the kids. You don't get to. Do I think he's smart? Yeah, absolutely smart. I think he's well read. But everything seems to need. It's just like Michael Jordan instinct. Everything seems to need a prop. You need to have a prop somewhere, and you always have to have something. You need to have a camera. You need a camera around at all times. Like it's really.
Yeah.
So those are the things that get me. It's like it feels like when he scowls at somebody, he's not intimidating me. I've seen him. He's not a killer to me. Those are things, but at the same time, he is an all-time great.
Yeah. Well, there is one thing that I did want to ask the two of you before we go into our next topic, and that is the decision when that went down. Will brought it up and actually kind of sparked me asking this question. What were your and I'll start off with Will. When the decision happened, and I'm pretty sure you watched it and everything. Yep. What were your overall thoughts about it? Anything good, bad, or whatever? Like, did you feel like it was needed or not needed? What were your overall thoughts about the decision when it aired?
Highly inappropriate. I thought it was highly inappropriate. When else do you see a guy on TV make it? I get it. It's LeBron, one of the best athletes. But you aired on national TV where everyone in the world possibly can watch. United States, Asia, Europe, wherever, Africa, wherever. You know what I mean? And you displayed on national TV. It sparks controversy because you did it on national TV. If you just did pen to paper, said, I signed this contract, and a reporter's like, breaking news, tweet, LeBron's going to the Heat. That's fine. That'll just spark madness or happiness in social media. But you did it on national TV, which is very inappropriate. Like, when else have you seen a guy? Do you think Jordan did that when he left the Bulls, or when he went to the Wizards? No. Do you think what's his name? When Brady went to the Buccaneers, they had it on national TV? No. Like, come on. Like, I thought it was really inappropriate. I thought it was really dumb. I thought it was just overhyped and not necessary, because you could do this behind closed doors and it would go fine. But then doing it just like televising in the first place is controversial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I totally. I mean, you're definitely not alone in that one. Oh, well, Jacob, what about you? What were your thoughts on it? Did you like it? Dislike it? Was it needed? Not needed?
Very indifferent. My thing with it is the fact that it told me he was going to be LeBron Inc. Or LeBron, or whatever. That's what he was going to be the minute he did that. And see, Michael Jordan didn't have to do it. You're correct. When he went to but the thing is, Michael Jordan really had a name. See, LeBron James had a name from high school. He had 8th grade. But in the end, there was a lot of people that had those names and they could bomb. He was making sure his business end of himself was good, even if he had it early.
Oh, I bet he got paid for it too. They're like, yeah, you're gonna pay.
He did. He did. It was a money move. That's why, honestly, was it needed? No, but I didn't see anything wrong with it because, it was ratings for ESPN, and he definitely got paid for it. You got to think. And to Jacob's point, he probably is the reason why they air high school games on ESPN right now.
Yeah,
100%.
Because they weren't doing that back then until LeBron.
No, and they filmed it at his high school, didn't they?
Yeah. When he played for I think his state title game, they aired it.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you this. I was for sure. I'll tell you where I was wrong. I was for sure thinking he was going to the Knicks. For sure.
I did too.
He had his offices in New York City, King James Incorporated. He had them there. I was for sure thinking he was going there.
I did too.
I was completely off. I didn't think of I didn't even think of Miami. I just saw the hat later. I didn't even think of it personally. But I'll tell you this. Miami is low down perfect. It's why I keep saying the Dolphins are going to be the coolest team in the league if they're not stupid enough to get rid of McDaniel. If they're not stupid enough to do that, they are the coolest team in the league for the next 5 years. It's Miami. It is the beaches. It is at South Beach. It's all that stuff. Your coach is cool. Everybody's cool. Your wide receivers are cool. The system's cool. Everything's cool. It was cool with the Miami Heat. It's the only thing that's not cool in Miami is the Miami Marlins, and that's their fault. Because
even they've won 2 World Series.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about now though. Like they are, you can get it, and that's their fault. In Miami, you could be cool as all get out if you work on it.
But the funny part about even you saying that is, like you said, it's Miami. Yeah, the Marlins are a bottom team, but you're a Major League Baseball player in Miami. Yeah. You're a professional sports player in Miami. Regardless of how the Marlins finish or how they are. We know they're a bottom team.
Cities, when people go to, when they think, oh, big market, Miami, LA, New York City, Chicago, Dallas. Like, Miami's up there. I agree 100%.
It's just like LeBron did what Shaq did. Remember a long time ago when I said a lot of people told Shaq that he was already Hollywood. He just wasn't residing in California.
Yeah.
So what did he do? He went to the Lakers.
Exactly.
Mind you, that was before social media. Yeah. Social media was around, at the time period, but it was in a time period when LeBron made a decision, but it was in its relative infancy. It wasn't like it is now. But LeBron knew he couldn't really become LeBron in Cleveland the first time around. I'm talking about big market. I'm talking about big name, just like you're talking about, Jacob. You know what I mean? Just like you're talking about, Will. Big name. He had to go to Miami to do it.
Well, here's the thing. It's not over yet. It makes me think of Giannis. It makes me think of Giannis. He's still in Milwaukee. But at the same time, even back in those times, you had to go big market.
I don't think speaking of Giannis, I don't think he leaves.
No, but I'm telling you, he's getting the big name in Milwaukee, but you can get a big name anywhere with the way we're doing it.
Now you can. Yeah, exactly.
Now you can. And see, that's the thing, Will. You say you don't think he leaves. He doesn't have to now.
No, that's the point.
He doesn't have to because you can discover it anywhere. Go ahead.
Will, where do you live?
Charlotte.
You're Charlotte. You're Houston. I'm Atlanta. It's like we look at this and we can move any 3 areas we would ever want to. And it could be small towns. It could be Podunk.
Charlotte's grown like crazy in the last years. Like I was talking to my parents, speaking real quick. Like when I lived here when I was young, barely any of the places around me, like the shopping center, didn't exist. Now there's a huge shopping center near my house. Charlotte is growing like this. Every day people come in and out. Like I tell people, Charlotte's like kind of the next Atlanta. Charlotte is a great place to raise a family. It is crazy.
I have a question for this, but we were speaking of Atlanta. We talk about LeBron James, and he's already picking his team for the next move. You know what I'm saying? With Bronny and everything. Mm-hmm. I always like to ask this question. I'm talking about with KD, with LeBron, with Harden, all of them. As much as I blast on Harden, he's still a big name. Okay? So it's like I ask these things. It feels like 97% of the NBA players at one time live in Atlanta every year. Why? What is the problem with playing here? I would love to talk to one on a Pundit View someday.
That would be interesting. Yeah, that's what I've been wondering.
Why LeBron never even thinks of Atlanta? I mean, Atlanta is becoming a hip hop community. It's becoming huge.
It's big, yes.
Big with movies. It is becoming huge. They are building up the downtown. It's all that. Why is the KD not coming here? Why is LeBron even thinking of it? It's growing like crazy. It's over 7 million. I don't see if they want to live here, why they don't want to play here.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, with because with Charlotte, and I mean, at one point in time, Charlotte had nothing. All North Carolina was really known for was college ball. You were a Duke fan or you were a Tar Heel fan. And then if you went to Wake Forest, you were probably a Wake Forest fan, something like that. But then over time, you get the Hornets. You get the Panthers, and now, look, Panthers have been to 2 Super Bowls. You know, like you've had Cam Newton come through there, arguably the Panthers' best player ever. You know, like Charlotte indeed is going. Atlanta's been. I known Atlanta was growing. I known Atlanta was growing. It's just really interesting. But to land a big name, you have to have something else on that team attract them outside of the city. You know what I mean?
Agree.
The city, but I'm just saying though, it's becoming a pretty big movie capital, as we talk about on the other shows that I get. It's becoming that. It's a hip hop capital. There's so much other things that's starting to grow with it. There's everything you can possibly do. It's not Miami. It gets cold in the winters, but it's not exactly Quincy, Illinois either. You know,
yeah,
40,000 people. It's not exactly that either. I'm like, it is a booming deal. It's a booming city, and I would love to ask an NBA player why.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Houston had been attracting for quite some time. Like, you'd be surprised how many celebs like have residence in Houston. 50 Cent actually, Branson Cognac and his champagne brand actually just became partners with the Houston Astros and the Houston Rockets. 50 has a residence here in Houston. So it's crazy. But see, the thing is you have your share of celebs that have residency in Atlanta.
Plenty of them. Plenty.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And so, and with Charlotte, and shout out to Charlotte Bats. He's got the petition to bring to bring a major league team to Charlotte, which I could see happening in like the next 10 years.
Than that,
I think.
That.
Yeah. I mean, I think they should get one. I think they should. I'm just curious as to how it would be received. Seeing as for much of its history, it's been a basketball state.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It still loves sports. It's still they love sports.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I kind of look at Charlotte getting an MLB team like if New Orleans got one. How would they receive it?
Well, they're receiving it well with Zion right now.
Well, as far as basketball, what about a MLB team?
Well, that just depends. But see, the thing about Charlotte is I'm learning this. I like Charlotte, by the way, Will. I like it a lot. I've been there 2 or 3 times. I like it a lot. It's just the thing about it. It's also a sports state.
It is.
People love their sports there, so that's a big thing. It's not just remember they took the football after it was just a basketball state, so it'll take baseball.
Yeah.
Should we get to our next topic?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So our third topic here is our second BasketBros moment in time, and that is the 1985-86 season. Boston Celtics go 40-1 at home, best home record until the 15 Spurs did it. It is ridiculously hard to go. Even for the 80 Celtics and what they were, it is still ridiculously hard to go 40-1 at home. So I actually wanted to have Jake start this off because I know you witnessed this.
Oh yeah.
And your thoughts on this? I mean, like 40. I think there's only 2 teams that have only had 1 loss at home in the season.
The biggest thing about it is their only loss was with Portland.
Yes.
Only loss was Portland, and then in that 86 season after that Portland and stuff, he played that left-handed game. And then gets 47. So and then that was the funny part, and even then, like I remember that game. It's like I seen that game like during COVID also, the game that they lost. I saw it during COVID again. It was then they even got within 5 in the third quarter and Bird doing all the work, and then they just ran out of steam. But I'm like, just think about that for a second. 40 wins, 1 loss. And people wondered, shouldn't it be easier to win at home? Remember this about winning at home. You're also off of hard road trips.
Yes.
So you're tired from all of those heavy flying, all those time zones, all that kind of stuff. So even then, it's amazing. So if you're 40-1, and they went 67-15 that year, that means you're 27-14 on the road, which is unreal.
Yeah.
You do West Coast, especially when you're in the Southeast, especially all that. That just means you keep your consistency like mad. And it makes you respect the 72-10 Bulls and the 73-9 Warriors.
Which,
to take away the Warriors' record for that. 73-9 is unreal.
It is absolutely. It's hard to win on the road in any professional sport.
Yeah,
I remember once Ray Lewis said the single hardest thing to do in the NFL is win on the road.
well, because you're doing time zones.
Exactly.
Unless it's Chicago, like in the 80s, the Bears would go to the Cardinals and go to St. Louis. That's 295 miles from each other. Big deal.
It is.
And on a flight, that's nothing. But what if it's Chicago versus Los Angeles?
Exactly.
What if it's, and then Chicago, Los Angeles, then go to Chicago, New York? I mean, in the 80s, in the 80s, you got to remember this: the Bears would have to go on the road sometimes. You go Chicago, Los Angeles, back to Chicago to New York, back to for your thing. It's like that's brutal, and they did not have the same flights as you would have back in the time. They didn't have the same charter jets or anything. A lot of them went coach.
Yeah, they did. I mean, you got that good old team bus too. You know what I mean? But swinging it to Will, man, what are your thoughts about this and just overall? If there's any team you could pick now that could go 40-1 or even 41-0 today, who would you pick?
I don't think there's a team that can do that.
No,
I don't think so, because anything happens on any given night in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Look at the Hornets beating the Bucks the other day. I didn't expect that as a Hornets fan. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it happened nowadays. But that was an amazing year for the Celtics. They won the championship. Bird wins MVP. All NBA first team Bird. All defensive first team McHale. Second team Dennis Johnson. And then there were a lot of interesting events that happened also that year. 4 coaches got changed. The Kings relocated and finally went to Sacramento. It was the first year the Most Improved Player award came out.
Nice.
And then the next best record, I'm going to ask this to Jay. Who had the next best record at home that year? Do you know?
I think it was Houston.
In the whole NBA.
Whole NBA?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Houston.
It was Houston,
yes. They played in the finals. Houston.
They were the 2 best teams in the league that year, yes.
It was the best 2 teams. And it shows.
LA.
And it makes you think, like, that was, like, the perfect year. Like, yeah, you lost 15 that year, but that was one of the best years in NBA history. Like we said, you only lost 1 at home, and your guy wins MVP. You win the championship. You guys got guys on the first team, second team. Like, what more can you ask for?
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, that was Houston took them 6 games. And they took out the Lakers to get there. The crazy part about it is the previous time we'd been to the finals was 1981, which stands as the last time that a team with a losing record reached the NBA finals. The Rockets went 40-42 and played the Celtics, and they knocked out the Lakers to get there. Yep.
No, but the biggest one of the things also is it will never happen again. Reason it won't happen again is everybody calls load management, which I like to say load management back in the day was basically if you took a crap at halftime.
Yeah.
But I mean that's what it was. But you got to remember to get 40-1. Bird played 82 games. McHale 80. I mean there was no thought process of taking a night off. That means you got your best every single night.
Yep.
So we got to remember you're not going to get a 40-1 on a Kawhi Leonard team because he's going to miss up to 25 games in a year, maybe 30.
Huh.
You're not going to get 40-1 in a LeBron, and then sometimes if they feel bored, and they'll lose to Charlotte at home, who's the worst team in the NBA, I believe, right now, or one of the worst records.
Yeah, we're top 3 worst.
Yeah, and it's like, and they lost on the road, and they lost it at home. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's just because they'll get bored or they don't play their guys all the time. 40-1 won't happen again.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So by the way, you two talk for a second. I got to do one little thing. Okay, hold on. All right.
All right.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
As a matter of fact, while we wait on him to get back,
yes,
I do have one small question that I thought about this the other day, and that is, let's see, there it is. Should the NBA get rid of divisions? And let me explain. There's no real incentive for winning your division. No one really talks about
There's
like
no buy.
their division champion. Yeah. Like in the NFL, you win a division, you host a playoff game. Let's see, in Major League Baseball, you win your division, you're in the postseason, you host and whatnot. There's no real incentive for winning your division. Do you think they should get rid of them and just do seedings?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like, sure, the West has been lately stronger than the East, but yeah, I think so. Like, I don't care if it's like 80% West teams or 70% West teams. Yeah, get rid of seedings. I think it's definitely necessary. Like you said, there's no incentive. There's no first round bye. There's no like you're home for all 7 games. Like, no, you're only home. What is it? What's the format? 3-2-1-1-1.
Yeah, it's like
Something
2
weird.
2 1 1
Yeah,
1,
like
or it's 2 3
yeah,
2.
and you're only home for like 4 games. You're not home the whole series.
Yeah. Well, Jacob, you back with us?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
I just had to switch because of battery, but I mean I've gotten one to another format. Here's the thing with
I'm sorry. I posed the same question to you, but see, I was like, you know what? There's no real incentive for winning your division in the NBA like there is in other leagues. So should they just get rid of divisions and just go by the top 8? That's it every year.
Here is the big issue with it. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it personally, but again, it goes back to time zones. It goes back to time zones, and what if? And for instance, what if number 1 is Los Angeles and number 8 is New York? That's the first round.
True.
That's the first round. They're both traveling like mad.
No. I'm not talking about. I said divisions, not conferences. They should just go by the top 8 of each conference.
Understood on the thing. I'm just saying though, how would they? Because I know exactly what you mean. But one thing is, back in the 80s, early 80s, and one thing I noticed about that when I did research and everything, the Bulls were in the West.
Yes.
The Bulls were in the West, so you don't know how they would put this. The Houston was in the East, the Bulls were in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't know where they put this if you change the division deal around. And so I'm just thinking of something like this. What if it would be Los Angeles and New York first round and they're both traveling? It would be we're dealing with so many things now with agents and lawyers and the NBA Players Association and all that kind of stuff like this. It's like, if it's going to happen, that's going to happen along the lines of the Players Association asking for it. Otherwise, if they complain about it, it's over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, because like I said, because it's like that every season. You take your top 8 in the West, your top 8 in the East. You know what I mean? The number 1 seed is not guaranteed, like Will said. Oh, well, all 7 games are going to be at home or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, granted, yes, your number 1 seed more than likely won their division, but they're not getting home field throughout the playoffs for being the winner of the division. They got it for being the best in that conference, for the regular season. There's no real incentive behind it. Like no one is having conversations saying, oh, well, the Pacific Division is the toughest division in basketball. Oh, well, the Atlantic Division is like the weakest division. No one's having those conversations. Not like we would concerning like the NFC South and say the NFC West. You know what I mean?
But I think the reason is because there's just so many games. Personally, to me, I'd go when we had COVID those 2 years, we had 72 games, and personally, I'd go right back to that.
Yeah.
I'd go right back to 72 again, and then we could talk about it. But the reason we don't say it's the hardest and it's all that is because, like you said, Houston, even back in 81, went 40-42 and caught a hot streak. 1999, the Knicks caught a hot streak. They were number 8 and got to the finals. They catch that thing. And you're right about the incentive deal, but as I'm saying right now, it's just the amount of games. And we could think about it more if they go 72. And then we could have all, just with conferences and blah, blah, blah. But with there's so many of them, the divisions are probably there, so they stay within their time zone. at a certain amount of time because their travel is brutal anyway for the
Yeah.
player, and they average 6'7", about 6'7". So just imagine how sore they'd be.
Yeah. I can definitely see that side as well. All right. Well, actually, we got about 5 minutes left before we start wrapping up. So let's go ahead and hear our last topic, and that is Isaiah Thomas says Malice in the Palace wouldn't happen with him as head coach. Now, this is coming from someone who was a brawler himself back in the 80s and early 90s. But real interesting coming from somebody like him, a former Piston at that. So I'll swing it on over to Will. Will, what are your thoughts about Isaiah Thomas saying this?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because it makes you think like once a fighter, always a fighter, or whatever. I don't know. It was just a high escalated game that turned into like a rowdy, all out brawl. You never know what you can control, what you can't control, because there's some players in the NBA history or in sports history that you can control, and some guys you can't control. And who knows if his players would have listened to him? Like, who knows if Big Ben would have been like, yeah, okay, coach. Yeah, okay. No, like, who knows? Like, he could have been like, you know what, coach? That's my teammate he went after, or whatever. So you never know what would transpire between Isaiah and his players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's not sitting here saying that they would disobey him because it's like, oh man, well, I mean, come on now, you was fighting back in the day, but I mean, maybe he's coming from a place where that was then, this is now. I played in a different era. Era is different. Like you could fight back then. Nowadays you can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a different time. But your thoughts about this, Jacob?
It would depend on one thing. If you got to remember, the whole thing started with Artest laying on the table and someone throwing a cup. Mm-hmm. The one thing I do believe with Isaiah, just because he was in brawls and he knew personalities better than most coaches do. Just like you got to remember, a lot of the old school the coaches that were from the 70s and stuff like that. They were just their own personality. They were the ones that are doing insurance jobs in the summer and all that stuff. They didn't have an understanding of the real player. They really didn't. It would depend. Isaiah, if he would have seen Artest on that table and laying there and seen the trouble that could cause and pulled him off, then yes, he could stop it. Because the whole thing started when he was on the table and someone threw the cup.
Right.
And then it was going. If he pulled him off the table, if he saw, I have a thought process that Isaiah knew people better because he played through that. And he probably played with some of those players that he coached. Because they were older and everything. It just depends. He knew the personality. If he knew the personalities and he could pull Artest off that table before anything happened, then yeah, he could stop it. But he wasn't going to go to the crowd. And if he didn't see that in time, there's nothing he could do.
Right. With a guy like Artest, who essentially became famous because of that, right? And again, that's not sitting here saying. I think the players would have a tremendous level of respect for him and whatnot. But also at the time period, understand when emotions run high, some people, they're not trying to listen to anybody. They're trying to go after that one person.
Well, remember this in Isaiah's era, and we got to remember how many fights Detroit and Boston had. Got to remember, they did not go into the crowd and fight. They did not touch. They did not touch the crowd. They did not get anything. It's like, heck, you'd see if someone got knocked down when someone dove into the crowd, they helped them up. Every single one of them would. There was a certain respect on that. So no, they didn't go to the crowd. So there's that thought process also. They fought each other and it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was stuck to that. So that could have been another thought process. It's just a debate,
It is. It is, absolutely. Most definitely a what if to discuss because that whole night was just crazy. I agree with you. I think if Isaiah would have seen the cup hit Ron Artest, he probably could have stopped it. If he didn't, and someone else caught, it's like, oh shoot, dude, Artest is going into the crowd, man. Then it's too late.
Yeah.
Because once he's at that guy,
say,
that's
listen, I've been through stuff like this.
Yeah, good. Very well could. But that's if he would have saw the cup hit Artest.
Or if he would have
If Artest is already in the crowd and at that guy, it's too late. Yeah.
No. If he sees him on the table, he could have pulled him off. Because that was just saying trouble right there. You're just looking lax. And then someone doing that and all that stuff. If you would see him on the table and pulled him off, say, get over here, or whatever, and then if there's respect, he's just going to go and it stops right there. But if you're dealing with your own thing and he's in the crowd, there's nothing you can do.
That's true. Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up this episode of BasketBros. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. And also be sure you hit that subscribe button to subscribe to Sideline Sports. Will, where can everybody find you, man?
You guys can find me Wednesday nights on Smoking Jeremy B's NFL Roundtable. Thursday nights, the Sip-Off, and Sunday nights here.
Awesome. Absolutely. And then, Jacob, where can everybody find you?
Sunday nights here with you guys. Monday nights, the pundit views. And I got a little piece of news. I've got Andrew Petcash from Sportico, the sports business.
Yes.
I have got him not this Friday, but the next Friday. We're going to tape it for the Monday show. I will have a sideline sports person tomorrow night, and Jordan, you will be after Petcash. And Will, you'll be after Petcash. I'll get him next. But I'm going to get a person for sideline sports for tomorrow night.
So it's Monday nights you're doing them?
Yes, I am. But he's going to be recorded. But I'm going to do one person tomorrow night. I'm going to pick. Then it's going to be Andrew Petcash, and it's going to be you. So I'm working on that.
Remember what I brought up to you? I lived in Europe, so you may want to.
We have plenty of things to talk about. No question. No question on that. Tuesday nights during the season, confidential. Wednesday nights, doubleheader. The pundit's pundit and Sports Exchange. Thursday nights is Yin and Yang with TJ Sanson. That's getting the thing right there. And then every once in a while, when you call me, Gauntlet.
Yeah, absolutely. And then shout out to our guy. Scott Morganroth. He's going to be with us next week. You can find him on Tribune South on Twitter. Most definitely tune in on Wednesdays when he's got the Sports Exchange. It's that South Florida Tribune Sideline Sports Connect, part of the Loaded Wednesday slate. He's got great topics and analysis. So please check him out. Tribune South on Twitter, and also South Florida Tribune on Facebook and on YouTube. All right, and so myself, Gauntlet Fridays, BasketBros Sundays, Confidential Tuesdays. We'll be coming back with the new season here shortly, and also putting it on Wednesdays. So, thank you to everybody who came.
And by the way, Kevin
section.
Durant injured his knee. It says an update. Kevin Durant injured his knee, got rolled up by Jimmy Butler.
Oh man, what are they saying so far?
That was just the update right now.
Okay,
thanks,
gotcha.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John, and congratulations to your Dolphins for making the postseason. You got Buffalo next week. And so for Will Vogel and Jacob Christner, I am Denzel Snipes, and I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll see you in 7 days. Later.
Take care.